Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. It's Ori here. So when I was first starting out, I remember the question of which brush to use was always on my mind. There was a lot of conflicting advice on if brushes matter, and trying to find the right brush was overwhelming because of just how many there are out there. Making my own was also really hard because I didn't really know which settings would work best for me. That's why in this video, I want to share with you the things I've learned so far on how to approach brushes when you're just starting out, how to find great brushes on the asset store, and what Japanese words to use when searching for them in order to get really nice brushes that Japanese artists are using. I'll even share with you the one brush I've been using a lot recently that does everything from drawing lines to painting. So first of all, you hear a lot of conflicting advice out there such as brushes don't matter, or they matter a lot, or you should just make your own brushes. Buy my brushes. My take on it is that they are all true to some extent. However, at the start, you shouldn't spend too much time trying to find the perfect brush because you're still trying to discover your style and the way you like to draw. So trying to find that perfect brush early on is like trying to find those perfect ingredients for a dish that doesn't even exist yet. For the same reason, I wouldn't really worry about making brushes until later, since you'll only discover the settings and textures you like over time. That said, it doesn't hurt to be using well-made brushes from the very start, and the Clip Studio Asset Store lets us do that really easily and for free too. Here's how. So the first thing is to go to the Clip Studio app and open the Assets tab on the left here. Then go to the search bar. Now you can search for anything you want, such as lines, paint, what kind of brush you want to find, but I would recommend actually just type in anything first, such as the letter A, get rid of it, and then click the popular tab. What this does is that it will show you all the most popular brushes on the store, and they're all really great and usually worth trying out. A lot of the brushes are free, but you'll find some that cost gold or Clippy points, and they can be worth the investment because they're usually not that expensive. They can save you time, and usually they're of good quality. Now, if you want to search for something specific, I would actually recommend using Japanese search terms to find what you're looking for, because it'll usually come up with a list of more brushes and usually better and high quality. These are the brushes that Japanese artists would be searching because they're obviously searching the store and uploading it with Japanese titles. So, for example, if you were to search for a line art brush on the store and type it in English, here's what you'll get. Yeah, you'll still get a decent collection of brushes, but I'll show you what happens when you type it in Japanese. So the Japanese term for line art is actually senga. And if you type it in, here, you'll get a lot more brushes and quite interesting ones. And these are the brushes that Japanese artists are using. I know a lot of people can't speak or type Japanese, and kanji can be confusing. So what I'll do is in the description down below, I'll put in a list that you can just copy and paste of the common art terms you might be searching for, such as line art, watercolors, hair, skin, etc, etc. Because I know that for English artists that want to draw in the Japanese anime art style, an issue you have when learning is that you don't know what terms the artists are using, so you can't actually search what you're looking for. So in order to help that, you can just go into the description down below, copy and paste it. Okay, so another cool thing about the asset store is that for the brushes, the artists that upload them usually give you a nice description of how to use them. It's really neat. They'll sometimes tell you that you should use this layer mode with it, or it's suited for this kind of thing, you can make this effect. But the description is originally usually in Japanese. So what you'll see on the asset store is actually Google Translate that's done automatically, and it's usually pretty bad. And sometimes it doesn't really make sense. So what I would recommend to use instead is click View Original and copy and paste the text of whatever you want to find out. Go to Google, type in DeepL, and use that translator instead. As someone who also speaks Japanese fluently, I can recommend that the DeepL translator does a much better job than Google Translate. Also, another thing I would recommend is not downloading too many new brushes at one time, because downloading everything and anything on the asset store and having like 50 new brushes staring at you in the face is a good way to instantly overwhelm yourself. So stick to just introducing a few new things at a time, and try a painting or two with each brush to get a feel for it before moving on to the next one and then comparing which one worked the best for you. As you progress in your art journey, you can start tinkering around with all the brush settings and adjusting it to suit you better. But the defaults are usually great, and at the start you want to just spend more time drawing and learning, and less time worrying about the optimal settings for something you might not even use by next week. And later on in your art journey, you could choose to make your own brushes, since by then you will have more experience as to what kind of brushes you like and which one work best for you. I guess the overall tip is to just spend less time optimizing at the start and more time actually drawing and getting those experience points in art. Finally, I want to share with you this one brush I've been using recently for almost everything. It's the #1 popular brush on the store and it's really easy to use. This brush is really flexible and it really depends on how hard you press it and the brush size. So for example, if you make it really small, it can become line art, like this. And if you make it really big, it usually has a softer touch. Of course, it depends on how hard you're pressing on it. If you press it really hard, it'll be flat like this. And if you press it really soft, it'll be kind of smooth like this. So yeah, play around with the brush size, the small for kind of lines, and kind of medium for painting, and big to give a soft touch. And you can get rid of these kind of circular artifacts by going to the blend tool here, clicking blur, and just applying that to smooth it out. Okay, now I'll show you guys this brush in action. So here's how I would use it. And for example, if I want to add more lines here, it's a bit weak, right? So if I want to add more lines here, I just grab the brush, make it small, and voila, you can make lines with it. Like so. Right, so it's basically just this, small, and it becomes lines. Now, let's say I wanted to add a bit more shadows here on the hair. I can just make it a bit bigger and have more of a medium touch to it. If you press hard, of course it's going to become flat, but if you press it just nice and softly, see? Those nice shadows, like so. And if you press really lightly, it can kind of become a gradient. So let's say we want to add more gradients here. Right, just like that. It's really soft touch and have a gradient, like so. So this brush can help you keep things simple and just focus on the painting. But be warned that you can take it a bit too far because it's definitely not ideal for some things such as blocking in colors, right? Because you have to press hard and it might not be consistent. In that case, if you need to block in colors for whatever reason, right? I would recommend using the default G pen here. So it'll do a much better job of just putting flat colors like this, you know, just like that. And if you want to make it soft again, yes, you can press lightly like that, but I would actually just recommend using the default soft brush in that case. It will give a nice smoother application and it's a bit easier to use. So definitely you can take it too far by trying to do everything with just a single brush, but it works well for a lot of things. Alright, now that you've got yourself some nice new brushes, it's time to start actually drawing and putting them into action. But drawing anime characters can be quite hard, especially if you don't understand the proportions for anime art. So do check out this video where I go over anime body proportions and the practice method I use to quickly improve at it. If drawing anime art is your thing, then do hit subscribe because I'll be putting out more useful tips and tutorials like this one. Also, if you want to see what I've been drawing recently or you just want to connect, I'm mainly on Twitter but also post on Instagram. Links are down below. This has been Art Days. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.